I don't enjoy cities, so it was nice to leave Auckland behind and keep hiking south. I had assumed that the Waikato was going to be a really boring section, but I actually enjoyed most of it. The first night I made it to Ramarama. I'd only been there a few minutes when the skies opened and the rain came down in a hurry. It didn't last long, however, and within 30 minutes I got my tent set up and had a comfortable night. The next day I stayed in Mercer, and it was nice to just wander over to the restaurant and enjoy a good meal. I then headed for Huntly. Most of the walk was good and follows the Waikato River. The last 10 kilometres into Huntly the trail got overgrown, and so I took to the road. It was certainly the first time I was glad to get to Huntly. From there you walk the hills into Araroa and then follow a beautiful track along the river into Hamilton. I splashed out and got a motel room and enjoyed a hot shower before going out to town for a curry.
That's where I'm walking now. I'm off the road. On the stop bank, there's a river down there somewhere. You can just walk along here, I think about 10 k's. Pretty sweet. Came across these guys, very friendly, just chilling out, beautiful goats.
After a night in my motel, I continued on through Hamilton. I'm not sure if it was the curry from the night before or what, but all of a sudden I needed to find a restroom. The trouble is, there was none open that early. As a last resort, I broke into a construction site and used the porta potty that was there. Not one of my best moments. Later that morning, the weather turned to rain, and then the wind set in. By the time I got close to Whatawhata, I was starting to feel chilled, so I stopped in a bus stop, took off my wet clothes, got in some dry clothes and my sleeping bag. I checked the weather and it predicted that later on in the afternoon the wind would change directions and the weather would improve. At about 2:12 the wind suddenly changed and the sun came out. Within minutes I was back in my wet clothes and walking. Soon I was dry and enjoying my day again. I pushed hard and got to a rest area only a few kilometres from the start of the Mount Porongia track. The next day, going over Mount Porongia, I encountered another storm. This time it hit as I was in the dock hut near the top. I just waited it out, but going down the other side was a muddy mess. At one point near the bottom, I stopped by a stream and cleaned myself head to toe. Then I continued. I'd barely gone 10 metres when I slipped while trying to avoid a puddle and was soon covered in mud. So I stayed that way right to the bottom before cleaning myself up again. That night I stayed with a wonderful trail angel called Jo. She cleaned my clothes and shoes and cooked me a fantastic dinner. I stayed in their large garage as the rain was still coming down hard. In the morning she cooked me a hot breakfast before I set out. She was an amazing host.
It's been so wet here. This is the trail. It's just an active running stream. It's been like that since this morning. Just one after another.
The next 2 days was fairly easy going. The first night I stayed at the Top 10 holiday park near Waitomo Caves, and then the next day I continued on to Tikawiti. I decided it was time to take a break as I was starting to get shin splints. In hindsight, I should have taken a few days off, but I was stubborn and really wanted to continue.
All the girls are interested. Come and say hello. Licking everything in sight. They're lovely, aren't they? Aren't you beautiful, eh, girls? truly are blessed to have such beautiful forests. This is just a small section of where I currently am, but it just goes on and on and on. The tracks are pretty good too. Actually just passed some people maintaining them, so it's nice easy walking today, which is good with my shin splints. But yes, very, very beautiful, all mossy and cool.
From Tikawiti, I decided I would walk to Benidale on the road rather than walk along the steep sides of the hills where the official trail goes. My shin splints were giving me a lot of pain. I didn't realise at the time that road walking would be worse for them. Getting to Benidale, I found there was no accommodation to be had, so I simply set up my tent next to the store and public restrooms. The next day was a short one. I only made it as far as the start of the timber trail. I was in so much pain, I gave my good friend Michael a call and had him drive almost 3 hours from New Plymouth to bring me compression bandages and a lot of ibuprofen and acetaminophen. With painkillers on board and my shins tightly wrapped, I continued the next morning. The timber trail is an amazing bike trail, is well maintained, and even in my injured state I managed to walk 42 kilometres twice over 2 days. The day after, I walked the 21 kilometres into Taumarunui. By this time I could barely walk. My shins had swollen up, and even with painkillers each step was painful. So I took off 7 days and let my shin splints heal. After 5 days of staying off my feet, I had to start stretching as I was unable to walk. This was more painful than the shin splints had been. It took me just over 3 hours to walk 5 kilometres. I would take several steps and then stretch and then continue. By the time I was finished, however, I was able to walk normally and was ready to continue.
Just coming down to one of the first swing bridges. How cool was this, guys? Don't know how long it is, but it's pretty freaking awesome. It's not really any sway in it. We're looking forward to these swing bridges. Apparently there's another one that's a lot bigger than this one. But if you look over the side, it's a long freaking way down. Check out how mossy these trees are. Just everything is covered in all sorts of coolness. This here is the longest bridge on day 2 of the timber trail, or timberline trail, and this one must be over 100 metres long easy. You can see the river way down there. Such a cool place. Anyway, better keep going.